I was pleased and somewhat relieved to see Attorney General Holder and the Justice Department announce that they will independently investigate not only the shooting of Michael Brown, but also the policing practices of the Ferguson and St. Louis County police forces. I think that Department of Justice investigations like these serve a critical role in maintaining and in some cases rebuilding public confidence in law enforcement. And I'd like to know from our panelists then if the grant programs administered by each agency look at whether a state or local law enforcement agency is under active investigation for civil rights or civil liberties violations or has a history of those violations. Mr. Estevez, the statute that authorizes the 1033 program requires the Secretary of Defense to carry out the program in consultation with the Attorney General. So I wonder, what is the nature of the consultation between the Department of Defense and the Department of Justice on this program? And is there a discussion of whether a law enforcement agency is under investigation for the possible deprivation of constitutional rights?
Senator Baldwin, the consultation with the Department of Justice is one of the areas that we're frankly lacking, that we need to do a better job of, that we will look at under the administration's review, and we'll discuss with this committee. So we need to do a better job there. I will say that
well, currently, and I accept your statement at face value that you can do better, but currently in that consultation is the matter of an open or closed investigation into civil rights or civil liberties deprivation a part of your discussion or consultation?
No.
And is there any reason why it could not be in the future?
Of course it could be.
Okay. Mr. Kamoy, is there coordination between the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice in the programs that you administer on these same questions?
Thank you, Senator Baldwin. We certainly coordinate on the risk elements of the allocation decisions and recommendations for the Secretary. The risk formula is prescribed by statute. It's a combination of threat, vulnerability, and consequence, and the elements of each of those are laid out in statute. But to answer your specific question, no, we do not take into account whether a law enforcement organization is under investigation for potential deprivation of civil rights and civil liberties.
Ms. Mason, in administering the Burn JAG program, is that it's obviously a within department consultation discussion? Do those issues get discussed?
Thank you for the question, Senator. The Burn JAG grants are formula money, and we have very little discretion over how that money is used. But the Civil Rights Division does coordinate with our office when they're doing investigations and as they develop their consent decrees, and we work closely with them in designing the content of the consent decrees. And
can you, I understand what you said about the formula and the lack of discretion, but tell me a little bit more about the nature of that consultation and how that can come into play in decisions that you're entertaining.
Well, there are two factors in that. The Office of Justice Programs has its own Office of Civil Rights that makes sure that all of the grant programs for the department comply with civil rights laws. If the Civil Rights Division is investigating one of our grantees, they typically will coordinate with our Office of Civil Rights. We will monitor things and as the process proceeds, have input into whatever agreement is reached between the department with that agency.
Thank you. I want to move to the issue of training, especially in the 1033 program. We've heard in testimony that billions of dollars worth of surplus military equipment has been transferred to state and local law enforcement agencies, including some significantly sophisticated materials previously operated by trained military personnel, primarily in combat situations for some of that equipment. This includes, as we've talked about, MRAPs, armored vehicles, grenade launchers, assault rifles. We certainly have great confidence in the skills of our first responders, but these pieces of equipment are not traditional police equipment and may be very unfamiliar to many police officers and sheriff's deputies in communities across this country. So I understand that the Defense Logistics Agency conducts a biennial inventory review of the states that participate in the 1033 program. But this effort appears to be focused simply on corroborating that the transferred equipment is accounted for. Can you tell me if the DLA review, Mr. Estevez, or even the original application process makes any inquiry at all as to whether the agency has the appropriate training or access to the appropriate training to use and maintain this equipment, or if after the fact the equipment is being properly used?
And DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, which facilitates this program, doesn't have that capability, and neither does the Department of Defense as a whole. We can't manage local police forces. Even equipment that we're trained to use is trained to use for combat operations, not for local policing operations. And let me also say we do not provide grenade launchers, to be clear. So the training, the state coordinator certifies that a local police force that's going to receive an item has this ability to train themselves to use it. So they're going to get a helicopter, they have a pilot. And the state coordinator certifies that the local police force has the ability to sustain the equipment that they're going to be provided.
And what confidence do you have that that level of inquiry is happening at the state coordinator level if it's not happening under your supervision?
I think that, frankly, varies by state coordinator, but I think state coordinators in the last number of years have actually put more attention and due diligence on that process. And we found that as we did a full-out review of the whole program with the state coordinator, suspended all the states because of accountability issues. And in doing that process, we found that state coordinators are focusing their attention on those issues, Senator.
Mr. Kamoy, are there similar requirements in either the application process or the audit process for training, for proper maintenance of equipment? What sort of accountability can you share with this committee in the Department of Homeland Security?
We encourage training for grantees. It's an allowable expense under our programs. We do not require training, but we do offer training through the Department's Center for Domestic Preparedness for responders and the Department's Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. So we do offer it, we encourage it, but we do not require training.
And Ms. Mason, I believe you already testified that training is one of the applicable, is one of the things that can be funded through grants, but can you talk about the training opportunities available in Burn JAG?
Yes, the training opportunities, Burn JAG funds may be used for training, but separate and apart from our JAG funding, the Department of Justice, the Office of Justice Programs provides a full range of training opportunities for law enforcement. Over the last 3 years, we've put together approximately 100 online training courses. We also have many webinars on various issues. We survey the law enforcement to find out what training classes and things they would need, but it is part of our mission to make sure that we provide a range of training opportunities for state and local governments.
Thank you.